I'm Lee Hogan and welcome to another episode of MXTV. This is the final week that Brendan Bell's away. I look forward to having him back next week. All right, let's get into the show. On today's show, Eldon Baker gives you some terrific training tips. We visit Ride Park in Parwin. We check in on Daniel Chucky Sanders. I've got a great riding tip for you, and I'll be reviewing the KTM 250 plus much more. Now first up, let's check out Ride Park in Parwin, Victoria.
I'm Rob Wilson and welcome to Ride Park. We opened up on Australia Day 2014. It was a hot and dusty day and things didn't quite go according to plan, but we've learned a lot and now I think we're doing okay. You know, we really love what we're doing here and it's more of a lifestyle thing than about trying to make money. We get anywhere between 200 to 600 riders in a weekend, and the busier days it's definitely hectic.
This facility is second to none out here in Victoria. We're definitely blessed to have it. There's 4 motocross tracks here, 1 supercross track. There's a massive variety too. Out the back here, as you can see, behind me, there's the main track where most of the pros and the intermediates get amongst it. Up on top of the hill to the right is the turn track. It's purely for turns, some of the best ruts you'll ever see. There's 2 beginner level tracks with, some little jumps, some cool turns for all the little tackers. This place caters for everyone, from the rawest of beginners to the highest of highs.
Yeah, the supercross track's just for anyone crazy enough to get out there, but no, you need to be an endorsed rider and obviously once again you need to be really capable and show that you can really commit to the bigger jumps and through the whoop. So it's not for everyone, but it's good to give the guys that are just getting into supercross access to a track and give them something to really hone their skills so they can take it to the races and take that next step. We've got the girls in the canteen. We have hot food and plenty of cold drinks. And having a paramedic was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. I think from a rider's perspective, if you go down, it's really nice to have someone there who can treat you and give you some pain relief if you need it and really take care of you. So that's been something that's really been important for us. We put a lot of time into the track and I think that's where we've been able to sort of cement our reputation. We'll spend probably no less than 3 solid days going into the weekend. We throw a lot of water down, especially in coming into summer. I think we've been able to capture the imagination of the guys and girls that are already riding. In the future, I think the challenge for us is to try and bring new people into the sport. Other sports like football and basketball and tennis do such a good job with their junior programs. I'd really like to see Ride Park in that same mould and, getting the Pee-wee program happening and introducing new riders into the sport. We're excited about the future and what we can do here.
My name's Daniel Sanders and I ride for the KTM Enduro off-road race team. Started at 8 years old. Dad got me started into motorbikes as he raced in his career back in the late 80s, so I wanted to follow him in his footpaths and get racing. And we had my brother as well, who was determined to go riding as well, so we had good property around here to race in and it's been a hell of a ride out here. Picked off-road just because the area we live in, it's awesome for enduro riding and off-road, so we've got plenty of hills and trees to dodge around, and Dad sort of kept me away from motocross and the freestyle. I like hitting jumps and getting some air, so yeah, Dad convinced me that enduro is the way to go, and yeah, I haven't turned back. I just started at the club level with the MXTV in 2007. That was my first year racing. Yeah, as soon as I started racing, I just wanted to train to be a professional, to do it as a dream, which it's always been. It's kept me keen. Worked my way through, did a couple state rounds here and there until I did the first state round on a 125 and won it outright with the intermediates in there as well. And a couple guys went up to my dad and said, yeah, this kid's going pretty good. He needs to, keep continuing the state series and then, keep improving. So working through the state levels until I think I did my first Aussie round in 2011 and I always finished second in through them to other competitors, and you know that kept me driving to win. I never had a glory junior career, but you know, I was always a second place man and always the underdog and pushing hard through off the bike and on. So yeah, 14 I really knuckled down and had the desire to do really well. Like, it was either do it or go get a job sort of thing. I was working at the family apple orchard in the meantime as a privateer and just working my butt off and pushed as hard as I could that year, and yeah, picked up a ride 2015 with Ben Grabman on the KTM team, and yeah, haven't looked back from there. I've had a ball and got some great results. It was pretty cool jumping in there. We had Toby Price and Ty Simmons on the team, so you know, those guys have had a lot of experience and it was good to learn off both of them. You know, those guys are so much fun to be around. You don't ever think it's a job, it's more of just a social life around them, and some say we're a circus running around, but we get the job done and we have fun doing it. So coming off 2015 season, I was sitting in third outright position and going into the last day, and I got put back to fourth position by 0.4 of a second. So, you know, my aim was to, going in first year on the team, was to go top 3 in the Aussies, and yeah, finishing fourth. It took its toll, and Ben came up to me after the race and said, just use it to motivate yourself for next year. So I surely did that and trained as hard as I ever have. And then I had clean sweep for the rest of the season. After I won the championship, I had a lot of my family and friends there. Bit of emotion coming up, like especially with my father. Like, it'd be crazy to think how much time and effort and money he spent to get me to where I am. So it's cool to have him there and my mum and yeah, the family. As a kid, you know, Australian championship and a champion is pretty cool to get, and at 22 is definitely good. So hopefully I can move on to bigger and better things. Going into this year's 6th day in Spain was a bit tough. The conditions didn't suit my riding style, but you know, we've got to adapt to whatever it is, as the off-road rider has to. Just going in there, a bit of weight on my shoulders, and yeah, performed well, I think. Second outright and first overall in the E3 class as well. So at the time I was a bit disappointed because I really wanted that overall win, but you know, that's going to give me more motivation next year to come back faster and stronger and try and win the 6th day overall. It was good to have, you know, the Australian social media behind us as well. Everyone's support back home was awesome. Everyone could keep up to the live updates, congratulate me and sending me messages, all that. It's awesome to see that, you know, so many people appreciate what we're doing out there. Next year I'll be on the KTM factory racing team, the Farioli team. I'll be based in Italy, so pretty much the same as what Matty Phillips was doing a couple of years ago. So it'll be good to be over there with him racing, and yeah, I'm looking forward to 2017 on the KTM on the big deal.
Welcome back to MXTV, thanks to S1 Insurance. Well, Eldon Baker's been a trainer of some of the biggest superstars on the planet for a long time now, and we thought we'd take the opportunity to get a few tips off him. Let's hear what he had to say.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about, on the race day, what about a warm-up, how do we prepare to go ahead to actually racing. So one of the biggest things that I feel that people neglect, especially on race day, is to be loose, to do a little bit of stretching and to get a bit of blood flow. What I have my guys do is a little routine, starting off breathing in. So you're basically opening up the chest, use the nose to breathe, get your air in. When you use your nose, you're actually opening up lower part of the lungs. So, and then stretching down, and then don't force anything. In the morning, normally you'll be pretty tight. You've been laying down for obviously through the night, and then pulling in, and then a slight twist. Okay, and then once you feel comfortable that you've actually stretched the back of the legs, hamstrings, then step back with the right leg. Now you're doing another stretch. Don't overstretch anything, take your time. And then once you get really into it, bring your elbow on the inside of your leg and get yourself neutral in this position. Now it may start off where you can't even put your arm down. Don't force anything again. That's the goal you want to get to, but basically just opening up the hip flexors, getting a good stretch. Once you're comfortable in this position, step back. So we stretch out our calves, then take a step back, stretch out the arms and shoulders, Come up to push-up position. Down. Breathing in again. And then you kick up again. Stretch the heels. Bring the other leg forward. Once again, and then elbows to the inside. Then standing back up. Twist. And back up. That's one rotation. If you did 4 or 5 of those rotations at your own speed, at your own level, guarantee you your body will feel a lot better going in to the actual races. So one of the other questions I get asked a lot is the big nutritional question is, what do we eat on race day and what's good and what's bad? And you know, nutrition, you can get really scientific on it, you can get over the top, you can almost put yourself in a bubble, but it doesn't really help with races. I would say balance is one of the biggest keys. We all know we need some protein, we need some carbohydrate, and we need good fats. So once again, what you do and what you eat is up to you, but I would recommend try and stay away from dairy, try and stay away from red meat. The way the body processes is really hard on the bodies. And then also the big killer is sugars. Avoid salt, sugar, red meat, dairy. The rest you can have in moderation, and what you eat during the week should translate to the weekend, to the races. Don't change up anything on the race day, because now you're just putting your body in another form of shock when really all you've been doing during the week is trying to get it in the same repetitive fashion where it's comfortable, it knows what it's doing, it knows what's coming, and you're creating the same as what you're doing in training, that repetitive normality. So the body, when it goes to the races, it's pretty normal with what it's dealing with.
Welcome to this week's PCP Rider Tip. Now for this episode, we're going to be having a look at jumping, and more specifically, 3 different ways that we can do a jump. First of all, we're going to be looking at staying low over a jump, and by absorbing or scrubbing, that's how we stay low. We're going to look at a normal way of doing a jump, which is how most people would tackle any one of these big jumps here today. And we're also going to look at how you can go extra high and what we call seat bouncing. Now, we're working on jumping today, and like we mentioned earlier, we're working on 3 different types of jumping. First of all, staying really low over a jump, also just normal height through the air, and we're also going to be working on going very high, which is via seat bouncing. Now that's the first one we're going to be working on, seat bouncing. Now Tim's about to come through now. I want you to watch how low he stays seated up the takeoff ramp and exceptionally high through the air. Now this works really, really well when you're trying to get up and over a step up, or also coming out of a corner when you don't have much of a run up. It gives you a little bit of an extra pop. Okay, we're gonna go straight from our high jumps now with seat bouncing right into doing low ones where we absorb, scrub, and stay exceptionally low. If you watch Tim now, the main difference you'll see is the approach speed. As he hits the jump, stays exceptionally low through the air, but the main difference is the approach speed, and this is what makes it so important on a racetrack. You make up a massive amount of time, and it's got so much to do with the takeoff ramp and how you absorb the energy to stay nice and low. And we're going to finish off with now just your basic entry-level way of jumping. We're not going too high, we're not going super low, we're not going really fast or really slow. This is your basic beginner way of learning how to do things. You'll see a lot of riders on a supercross track or even a big track that has some nice jumps like here at Ride Park. When they're trying to jump something for the very first time, they'll use that way of doing a jump. welcome back to MXTV. In this week's bike review, we've got one for the two-stroke fans. I'm reviewing the KTM 250SX. The all-new KTM 250SX two-stroke. It's our bike that we're testing today out here at Ride Park. The track is a little bit dry and skatey, but perfect conditions to put this bike through its paces. So now we say it's all new for 2017, but essentially what it is, it's following in the footsteps of its little brother, the 125, and its big brother, the 250 and the 450. It's got a nice nimble chassis. The engine's completely changed. It looks totally different from top to bottom. Also brand new for 2017 is the air fork from WP, and this is going to put a smile on a lot of KTM fans' faces, let me tell you. Now, the relocation of the counterbalance shaft on this machine is supposedly causing way less vibration. Now, I'm really excited to test it and see if that's the case. This is my bread and butter ride here, 250cc two-stroke. Did pretty much my whole senior career on one of these things. Just can't wait to give it a try. Let's see how we go. Well, I've just pulled my helmet off after taking this machine for a test ride out here at Ride Park, and I've got to say, it put a smile on my face. The smell of two-stroke oil, that sound that you can distinctively hear even with your helmet on, it just brings back a lot of memories. Had an absolute ball. Straight out of the crate stock. It's got the type of bottom end power that we used to get on some of our factory machines. We moved through into a nice strong mid-range and a top end that just kind of tapers off a little bit, especially of course compared to some of today's four-strokes. But even on those slippery flat corners where you don't expect a two-stroke to work too well, you could roll it on, you didn't need to clutch it, and it was nice and smooth. It wasn't stepping out to the side. The bike still does feel exceptionally light, of course being a two-stroke, so you can really throw it around in the air. However, that extra weight on the four strokes tends to let it handle a little bit better and settle a bit more into corners. And that's the one thing I did notice with this particular bike was it didn't settle quite as nicely going into the corners. A little bit of a tinker with the forks though, and that helped a lot. It's a very nice working fork. You've got a huge range of adjustability. And let's not forget, you save almost 2 kilos going from a conventional spring cartridge fork to an air fork. Now, in years past, the KTM 250 two-stroke has had a little bit of vibration going on. The KTM engineers have really gone to work on this thing. They've done their homework. From my very first lap out there, I noticed a massive, dramatic lack of vibration, which was great. Put a smile on my face. Well, what a fun day out here at Ride Park for me. Lots of nostalgia involved on the 250 two-stroke. Lots of memories coming back. Had an absolute blast. Thank you very much to KTM for the supply and use of the motorcycle. And wow, what a bike. This is much improved over the previous model. This thing has just been completely remolded and really is a modern work of art. A lot of fun to ride. And if that's your cup of tea, the 250 two-strokes, get out there and grab one because these things are really, really nice.
For all your insurance needs, visit swaninsurance.com.au.
Well, it's almost time to go, but before we do, if you've missed anything on tonight's show, just head over and download the +7 app and you'll be able to watch it all again. Well, that's all we've got time for. Thanks so much for joining in. We hope to see you next week when we come back once again for MXTV.